Welcome to Your Vote Counts, a candidate forum sponsored by Capital Community Television and the League of Women Voters of Marion and Polk Counties. My name is Janet Adkins, and I am a member of the League of Women Voters, a nonpartisan political organization that works to educate our members and the public about government issues. We do not support candidates, but provide a forum for them to become better known to our communities. In this program, we'll present the candidates for Marion County Commissioner, Position 2. They are Janet Carlson and Carla Michelson. Our format for this forum is as follows. Each candidate has 3 minutes to give an opening statement outlining her top 3 priorities if elected. Following that, each candidate will be given 1.5 minutes to answer questions that have been prepared by the League. The candidates were not given the questions ahead of time. At the end, the candidates will have 2 minutes to make a closing statement in which to give the legacy they would like to leave if elected to office. Prior to this, we drew for question order, so we will begin with Ms. Michelson.
Well, as Janet has told you, my name is Carla Michelson, and I'm running for Marion County Commissioner, position number 2. I've been involved in politics for most of my life. It started when Norma Paulus, a Republican, visited my high school in Woodburn. And after that, I was involved because our family farm became at risk, because the tax structure at that time was that your farm was taxed on its market value, not on the value of what you were actually doing on it. So when Senate Bill 100 and Senate Bill 101 passed in the early 1970s, our farm was protected, and we are still living there. My parents bought the farm in 1948 with my grandparents. My grandmother is a longtime Marion County resident. She was born in 1894 in Jervis. So I know a lot about Marion County, and particularly about this part of Marion County, and the agricultural history that this area has. As I said, my parents bought the farm in 1948. I have lived there off and on. I raised both of my children there. My son is a senior now at Oregon State University, and my daughter is somewhere in the Pacific Ocean on an aircraft carrier. She's a damage control specialist in the Navy. My father ran the dairy, but he also found time to do a lot of work for the community. He was a youth leader for the FFA, and he led the lobbying that led to the FFA building at the Oregon State Fair. He also served on the Marion County's Soil and Water Conservation District Board when they were building pumping stations to lower the water levels for Lake LaBiche. So I have tried to follow in his footsteps. I have been a Marion County Commissioner, Planning Commissioner. Boy, that was getting ahead of myself, wasn't it? For 10 years. I also serve on the boards of 2 land use organizations. I've been president of Salem City Club. I was on the site council for my daughter's school. My priorities obviously are going to be involved with land use, but I worked for 28 years for legal services. I'm also very concerned about social issues, particularly public health and teen. I just don't want to see any more children having children, and I would like to work with programs that are very effective in preventing pregnancy for teenage girls. And I would also like to emphasize public participation with the board. I think the board could do a better job in getting times for meetings when the public can actually participate in the process. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Carlson's opening remarks.
I'm Janet Carlson, and I'm running for re-election for Marion County Commissioner, position number 2. I can summarize my campaign in 3 words: energy, experience, and results. First, energy. Finishing my 12th year as a Marion County Commissioner, it's been an honor to serve you. Being a county commissioner is a full-time job. My days often start before 8 a.m. and many times don't end until after 8 p.m. 15 departments, more than 1,300 employees. It's a big responsibility. I am a high-energy leader who works tirelessly on behalf of you and of all Marion County residents. Experience. With 12 years experience under my belt, I know Marion County inside and out. I have held and continue to hold many leadership positions, both at the state level and at the county level. I served as president of the Association of Oregon Counties in 2011 and still serve on the legislative committee and board there. I am currently chair of the Mid-Valley Behavioral Care Network that works to bring mental health services to residents in the county. I'm the chair of the Local Government Advisory Committee to the Oregon Department of Human Services and the Oregon Health Authority. I am chair just recently of the Marion County Public Safety Coordinating Council and serve as vice chair of the Jobs Council. This is just a few of the many responsibilities that I have as a Marion County Commissioner. I have served as a state representative, a state budget analyst, a grant writer with more than $6 million in successful grants that I've brought to this area and to Oregon, and I started my career as a junior high and high school teacher. So finally, results, and I will elaborate more on these when I make my closing statement. My top 3 priorities are, number 1, improving public safety, particularly through the Marion County Reentry Initiative, which has shown great results for people who are on parole and probation, leaving prison and reentering our communities. Secondly, integrating primary health care with mental health care and diverting people who have mental health needs from our county jails into mental health services. And finally, sustaining Marion County's budget, which is roughly $385 million. So I appreciate this opportunity to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you. So the first question will go to Ms. Carlson. What principal issues come before a county commissioner, and which would be the most challenging for you?
So there are a vast number of issues that come before a county commissioner. As I'd mentioned in my opening statement, we have 15 different departments. Our primary areas of focus are public safety, human services, which includes public health and mental health, natural resources, which includes environmental services, often known as solid waste management, and we have parks, and we also have roads, and then we have other community services that include assessment and taxation. The clerk's office does elections, passports, that type of thing. So actually, and then the issue that Carla brought up was land use planning, which is where we as a Board of Commissioners serve as a quasi-judicial body. So I would say 12 years ago when I became a commissioner, land use planning was probably the area that I knew the least about. I was not pretentious about that. I said openly that it was an area that I didn't have a lot of experience in. I was able to learn it through the many, many hearings that we had, particularly Measure 37, which brought lots of hearings before the Board of Commissioners, and we kind of had to learn how it was before the law passed and then afterwards. And then, of course, that was changed by the voters in the legislature.
Ms. Michelson? The question is, what principal issues do come before a county commissioner, and which will be the most challenging for you?
Well, Janet did a wonderful job of explaining everything that goes before a commissioner. A county commissioner has many hats, and like she said, one of them is quasi-judicial, one of them is legislative, the other is another one is administrative. There's an entire county to run. And there's a very, very wide range of services that the county provides. And they're all woven together to provide livability for the people in Marion County. I think the ones that would be most challenging to me are the engineering and technical sides of things. When Public Work comes in and talks about curb half cuts, and I'm thinking, oh, what is that now? Okay. The land use issues can be very controversial, and the challenge to me is to have the balance between the rights of the individual landowner and the rights of the public. What you do with your property does affect a large number of people around you, so you have to find the balance, and I think finding that right balance is always a challenge. And I think budgeting will be a challenge, not because I don't understand how to live under a budget, but trying to find enough money to provide a high level of services to the public will always be challenging.
Okay. The second question, starting with Ms. Michelson, how would you rate the infrastructure of Marion County, and how would you prioritize needed projects?
I think the transportation infrastructure has been pretty well maintained. I notice in the winters when we have a lot of snow that county employees are out plowing the roads, but state employees aren't always, and I need both to get where I need to go. If they're talking about, I'm trying to figure out what perspective they have for that question. I'm very glad that the county building in downtown Salem was repaired. I liked the building before, although I was actually in it when that cable snapped. So I understand that there was definitely a need to repair that building. If they're talking about more transportation and about the county's role in perhaps another bridge, they've been talking about that for decades, so I'm assuming that as a commissioner I would get to have more information than I have about that right now. But I think the county has done a pretty good job with the roads, and now that they've repaired the building, the Public Works Department I have found to be helpful when I've needed them, and they have certainly provided information for me about repairing things on our properties.
Great.
So when you say infrastructure, I think that you can really look at it two different ways. So the first way you can look at it is our county roads and bridges. The county roads and bridges, unfortunately, the gas tax has not kept pace with inflation. And there are many more people driving on the roads, trucks, cars, more miles to the gallon as people get more cars that are more energy efficient. And then we have people with electric cars that don't pay the gas tax really at all. So we have struggled with looking at, this is not just a Marion County problem, this is a statewide problem, with figuring out how we're going to have enough resource to not only repair the potholes, but also do the construction that we need to do in the overlays. We get complaints often, weekly, from people that have gravel roads that would like to have them paved and so on. We have, I think, roughly about 1,100 miles of county road. One year we were able to pave 1 mile, I think. We really need over 10 years to be able to pave a lot of miles in order to keep them on a good place. The other piece is county buildings, and Carla mentioned Courthouse Square, which we have been able to remediate. But we have the juvenile department, their building is sadly lacking. The health department is getting refurbished this year. Parole and probation has a portable out there that was supposed to be dead like 10 years ago. And our parking structure is not earthquake proof across from Courthouse Square, and parking is an issue for people that want to come in and use the services there. So we have a number of infrastructure needs in Marion County.
Okay, thank you. So for the third question, I'll start with you, Ms. Carlson. Can the county expect to maintain or improve children and families programs and their mental health programs?
Well, this is a very interesting question because the state has gone in quite a different direction now with children and families. As you know, Janet, because you were involved in it many years ago, in the early 1990s, the legislature gave to counties the responsibility for improving services to children and families through local commissions on children and families. Those local commissions sunsetted last year, and so now we have early learning hubs, which are more regional bodies, and counties can have a role on them, but counties don't lead them. And then we have youth development programs that are actually now administered by the state. So really the extent to which we deal with youth programs is primarily through our juvenile department, although Marion County has chosen to keep a Children and Families Commission, and we're trying to actually figure out what its role and function will be. Mental health programs are actually now more involved in the Healthcare Transformation Initiative, which is looking, as I mentioned in my priorities, at integrating primary care with mental health. And we have had, because a lot of people have been enrolled in the Oregon Health Plan, we went from roughly somewhere around 60,000 members to more than 90,000 members in Marion and Polk County in the matter of 6 or 7 months. A lot of the people that have been involved in the justice system that are single without family members now have access to mental health care through the Oregon Health Plan. which will hopefully improve access to those services.
Great. So, Ms. Michelson, can the county expect to maintain or improve children and families programs and their mental health programs?
I think the county needs to improve health and mental health care, but we are going through that transition period where we're moving. I know a lot of people don't like the term Obamacare, but the Affordable Care Act is changing how health care is offered to citizens. It changes it adds mental health into it. I know that that's a legislative priority for Senator Courtney, getting better mental health care. It's really bad when the best place to get mental health care is jail, because it is offered there. Obviously, a lot of this is going to depend on how well and effectively we move people on to the Affordable Care Act programs that we have, and how well we can fund these programs through budgets that the funds that are available decline as the need grows. But I do feel that this is a priority for Marion County. A lot of crime, a lot of public safety issues are perpetrated by people with mental health problems. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next question begins with Ms. Michelson. How big of a role does public opinion play in the decisions of a commissioner, and how would you improve public involvement?
I think that public opinion can both be good and bad in the decision-making process. Certainly the commissioner has to know what public opinion is, what it's based on, what people are thinking about particular issues. I feel that Marion County could do a better job of garnering public input. I have been on the Marion County Planning Commission. A lot of the things we used to do have now been sent to other places in Marion County government. I think that it is very difficult for people to always get to Board of Commissioner meetings. They're at 10 o'clock on Wednesdays. If you are a member of the public, you have to take time off work if you can get it. Sometimes you will have to take a leave without pay in order to come and discuss an issue that's very, very important to you. I know that commissioners are available on a one-to-one basis, but if you want to attend a meeting, it can be very difficult, and the people who wind up at meetings are usually people who are paid to be there. And I'm not picking on lobbyists, I'm just saying that citizens need an equal opportunity to be at meetings as well.
Good. So Ms. Carlson, how big a role does public opinion play in the decisions commissioners make, and how would you improve public involvement?
So public opinion plays a very important role in the decisions that commissioners make. Unfortunately, we don't have like large internet systems or polling organizations. We don't have the kind of money that it would take to find out really what public opinion is. So we glean public opinion through the work that we do being out in the community. We get out with all the various cities every month. So we have a breakfast meeting in Staten where we see people from Staten and Sublimity and Almsville and Turner. We go up to Woodburn once a month. We have a meeting here in Salem, one in Kaiser, and so forth. We have held commissioner meetings around the county. We try to do that every quarter. And we really started that when we were booted out of Courthouse Square and had to find a place to be for a while, and we liked it so much that we've continued to do that. But we do get a lot of information from the people who serve on our advisory committees. We have a full-time volunteer coordinator in Marion County, and we have advisory committees that range from local alcohol and drug planning commission to Solid Waste Management Advisory Council, to the Public Safety Council, Children and Families Commission, and so forth. We also have work sessions as well as commissioner meetings that are held throughout the week. And we try to bring people to those to help us kind of understand what's going on. And as I mentioned earlier, we go out to meetings in the community in the evenings, neighborhood association meetings and other meetings, so that we can find out the pulse of what's going on in the community.
Okay, thank you. And this will be the last question, starting with Ms. Carlson. What environmental concerns do you think the county should give additional focus?
Okay, well, we have a state-of-the-art environmental services program in Marion County. We have a waste-to-energy facility up in Brooks that actually takes the garbage that we have, and rather than putting it in a landfill, burns it and creates enough energy to light up a city about the size of Woodburn. That brings with it its own environmental issues, and I think we've worked very hard in Marion County. Our levels of particulates, things that the Department of Environment and Quality asks us to keep down, are well underneath what their levels are. We are also looking at composting programs and recycling programs, other programs that help with the environment. So I think that that is one area that we have been very successful in Marion County. I think another area that might not be considered environmental in the traditional term, but we have looked in code enforcement to try to have a level playing field between the people that live on the east side of town, who are in the unincorporated areas of Salem and of Marion County, and the people who are actually within the city limits. And so, for example, we have changed our noise ordinance so that people living on the Silverton roadside that's in the county will follow the same rules as people who live within the Salem city limits along Lancaster.
Ms. Michelson, what environmental concerns do you think the county should give additional focus?
Well, I'm going to surprise Janet and say that I actually support the what's commonly known as the garbage burner. The technology on those improves every year. They have a long history of being used in Europe, and they are very effective there. Many countries, particularly Scandinavian countries who have even higher quality standards than the United States or Oregon, find that they work fine and they are very effective. I do have a few concerns about the ash pile at the, particularly the North Marion County Transfer Station. I know that water quality is tested there. I would support keeping that testing service going and maybe even doing more testing. Once the water in that aquifer would be polluted, it would be very difficult for farmers and people who depend on those wells. I also have concerns about the amount of water and the water quality in South Salem. There are a lot of areas that are zoned for 2-acre residential lots, and there may not be enough water to support that. There is a sensitive groundwater overlay zone that they use. On the Planning Commission, we call that dueling hydrologists, as each side usually brings a hydrologist, says that yes, there's water, no, there's not.
Okay, thank you. So it's time for closing remarks, beginning with Ms. Carlson.
Well, thank you very much. This closing remark is supposed to be focused around my legacy, and I have been working for the last 12 years to leave a legacy that I have made an important difference in Marion County for you, the voters. So let me just say, first of all, that I will give you my top 5 results that are around the legacy that I would like to leave. Number 5 is the Marion County Fair. I have been the board liaison for the Marion County Fair, and the first year I was involved, we were able to increase attendance by 50%. The fair is still going strong, and it's getting better each year. Number 4 is Training Teens for Tomorrow. This is a really top-notch program run by the Boys and Girls Club that would have been out of funding a year ago, and I was able to get involved and identify some funding that could be used short-term to sustain it until long-term funding was procured. The county budget, with guidance from our budget officer, John Latimer, who's also our chief administrative officer, we have not seen the kinds of layoffs and significant budget cuts that many other counties have seen during this recession. And I think we've managed this budget well, and I would like to see that continue. Number 2 is the Marion County Reentry Initiative. We have about 4,000 people in Marion County that are on parole or probation, with 500 released from state prisons each year. Our approach is to help these people when they reintegrate into the community to become solid employees, good fathers and mothers, and good neighbors, as well as good tenants when there are renters in apartments. Through this initiative, we have reduced recidivism from 37% in 2002 down to 14% in 2014. And this is through the leadership of the sheriff, district attorney, nonprofits, and many others. And finally, number one is strong, steady leadership. This Board of Commissioners has experience and stability to assure ongoing excellence in services for you. So my number one legacy is to continue offering efficient, effective, and responsive services to the residents of Marion County. I'm Janet Carlson, and I'm asking for your vote on November 4th. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And Ms. Michelson, your closing remark.
Well, I can't talk about my legacy to the county because I haven't done anything for the county yet in a role as a commissioner. But one of the things I do think that I have done is I have supported the community. I have a lot of experience in a lot of different issues that the county deals with. I have experience as a site council member for my daughter in her school in Woodburn. Woodburn is a very diverse community. As a site council chair, I was able to bring a lot of different people in the community together to support the school. I am not bilingual, but I do speak some Spanish, and I do have contacts in the Hispanic community. I think the Hispanic community has been marginalized somewhat in Marion County, although their economic impact here is undeniable. And I think that one of the skills that I bring to the county is bringing different groups of people together, getting them to talk about their issues, the things that are important to them, and figuring out a way for people to work together toward problems. Problem solving is what county commissioners do, and it's not necessarily that they are Republicans or Democrats. I am proud of being a Democrat, but I think Marion County Commissioners could be nonpartisan just as easily. I hope that you will consider making some changes to the County Commission. The Commission has done good work, but it also has become a little bit what I would call stodgy. It needs new blood, it needs new thinking, it needs people who care about government and want you to have confidence that your government will be there when you call any number, but particularly 911. So I would just ask you, number one, to vote. That's the most important thing you can do. And please vote for me if you can. Thank you.
Thank you both. That's all the time we have. You've been watching Your Vote Counts, a candidate forum for Marion County Commissioner Position 2. Thank you to our candidates for participating today. We hope you will watch our other candidate forums. Please see the CCTV website for time and dates. These forums are a public service to help voters become more acquainted with candidates who hope to lead our city, county, and state governments in the coming years. Ballots will be mailed on or soon after October 15th and must be received back by the county clerk's office by November 4th. We urge you to exercise your right to vote. On behalf of the League of Women Voters and our partner CCTV, thank you for watching Your Vote Counts.